Let's embark on the Ark Republic to read and hear news just published through professional views. There to keep you in queue. We wanted for these days and time to unfreeze the voices in mind. So let the echo be heard, let's shine.
This is Sophia Moore with Ark Republic News. The U.S. House of Representatives will vote on sweeping Democratic police reform legislation that is opposed by President Donald Trump and Republicans, in the latest sign that congressional efforts to rein in police misconduct have hit an impasse. The bill, which mandates concrete changes in laws and policy, is widely expected to pass in the Democratic House. But the Republican-led Senate is unlikely to agree to the measures after Senate Democrats blocked a Republican reform bill on Wednesday. The Democratic and Republican bills address similar issues: chokeholds, no-knock warrants, police body cameras, use of deadly force, and training to de-escalate confrontations with suspects and to encourage officer intervention against illegal conduct as it occurs. Despite strong public sentiment for effective reform, Democrats and Republicans are deadlocked over how to address racial inequalities in American policing after George Floyd died in Minneapolis after a white policeman knelt on his neck for nearly 9 minutes. Democrats have named their legislation the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced that he was halting his state's multi-phase economic reopening in response to a jump in COVID-19 infections and hospitalizations. As the number of new daily cases around the country climbed to a near record high, Texas has seen some of the biggest surges in new coronavirus cases in the U.S. On Monday, state officials reported a record of over 6,000 new cases in a single day. As well, the state has set record hospitalizations for 13 days in a row. Texas's rising numbers are part of a nationwide surge concentrated on states that were either spared the brunt of the initial outbreak or moved early to lift restrictions aimed at curbing the virus's spread.
Taxi!
New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut issued a travel advisory on Wednesday that requires people arriving from states with high coronavirus rates to quarantine for 14 days. The travel advisory applies to anyone coming from a state with a positive test rate higher than 10 per 100,000 residents over a 7-day rolling average, or a state with a 10% or higher positivity rate over a 7-day rolling average, according to a joint announcement from the governors of the 3 states. As of Wednesday, the advisory applies to Alabama, Arkansas, Arizona, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Utah, and Texas. It begins Friday at midnight. The announcement is a 180-degree difference from a few months ago. The tri-state area, and New York City in particular, was the epicenter of the pandemic. In late March, New York became the global and national hotspot for COVID-19, with thousands of reported cases and a spike in deaths. At one point, President Donald Trump considered placing the tri-state area, New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey, under a quarantine. To quell travel from nearby hotspots, Rhode Island police stopped vehicles with New York license plates. In these state-sanctioned border patrols, Florida directed all travelers from the tri-state area to isolate or quarantine for 2 weeks. After months of strict lockdown rules, widespread testing, and attempts at contact tracing, reported cases are now under control in the tri-state area and the region. New York City police officer David Afanador was arrested on Thursday morning and charged with strangulation and attempted strangulation. Over the weekend, videos emerged that appeared to show Officer Afanador using an illegal chokehold to arrest Ricky Bellevue, a 35-year-old black man, at Rockaway Beach Boardwalk. Officer Afanador was arrested at the police station and has been suspended from the department without pay, said an NYPD spokesperson. The NYPD has banned chokeholds since 1993, warning that they can be deadly. Earlier this month, as part of a package of police reform bills spurred by the nationwide protests against police violence. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed legislation making it a crime for officers to use chokeholds and similar neck restraints. In addition to cell phone videos recorded by bystanders, Officer Afanador's forceful arrest of Bellevue was captured on police body cam videos. Bellevue, along with two others who were white men, could be seen speaking or arguing with Afanador and his colleagues. Next, 4 officers rush, then restrain Bellevue on his stomach, while Officer Afanador wrapped his arm around Bellevue's neck. Bellevue was arrested for being disorderly and was hospitalized after briefly falling unconscious in the officer's grip, according to his lawyers at Queen's Defenders. The district attorney said her office had declined to prosecute Bellevue. This has been Sophia Moore, reporting for Ark Republic News.
I'm Sara Elroubi here with the breakdown of this past week's major headlines. Wilmington, North Carolina's police department has fired 3 police officers, James Gilmore, Kevin Piner, and Corporal Jussie Moore, after investigators found footage from a patrol car showing them exchanging racist remarks. Officers Moore and Piner said the N-word multiple times, and Piner said he was preparing for a civil war and would buy an assault rifle. When talking about a black woman that had been arrested, Moore also said that she needed a bullet in her head right then. None of the officers denied making the remarks. Police Chief Donnie Williams has condemned their actions and recommended that they be ineligible for rehire by the city. Governor Jared Polis of Colorado announced on Thursday that the state would re-examine the death of 23-year-old Elijah McClain while in police custody last year, months after a coroner's autopsy did not determine a cause of death. In a series of tweets, Governor Polis said that a fair and objective process free from real or perceived bias for investigating officer-involved killings is critical. McClain was walking through a neighborhood in Denver last summer when 3 white police officers stopped him because he looked sketchy. When he resisted a search and asked officers to respect his personal space, McClain was placed in a carotid chokehold, which restricts blood flow to the brain, rendering the individual unconscious. McClain went into cardiac arrest after the police put him in a chokehold, and a paramedic injected him with ketamine. He died a few days after. Four months after his death, Ahmaud Arbery's killers, Gregory McMichael, son Travis McMichael, and neighbor William Bryan, were indicted on murder charges by a Georgia grand jury on Wednesday. The charges include malice murder, 4 counts of felony murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and criminal attempt to commit false imprisonment. Arbery had been jogging in February when he was shot by Gregory and Travis, who confronted him because they thought that Arbery resembled a suspect in a series of break-ins that happened in the neighborhood. Bryan took the video of the murder.
Thank you for listening to Ark Republic News.